Hello Gator Nation. We're fortunate today to have with us Aaron Batson, who's an alum of our department, the Department of Tourism and Rec and Sport Management. Aaron is the Regional Director of Account Executives with Shepard down in Orlando. It's great to have you. Appreciate
Thanks
you
for
taking
having me.
the time.
Appreciate it.
So let's just start with your career path. Could you share a little bit about your career once you left Gainesville, different roles that you've been involved with, and then describe a little bit your current role at Shepard?
Sure. It's actually interesting. I actually started getting into the industry first here when I was actually a student here at the University of Florida. So started at the O'Connell Center. It was my first real college job. Obviously had to find a way to put myself through college. So I started out first as an usher and a ticket taker, working there. Found out that it was actually something I really loved to do. I was currently a political science major at that time. So really loved doing it. Got involved, worked my way up, and found that I really loved the industry. After that, with a couple internships through the college, worked my way down to Fort Myers at a 30,000 square foot convention center called the Harborside Event Center. Okay. Found out that I also still really loved the industry and wanted to continue on. So met through my networking with different associations we were involved in. Met a gentleman at the Amway Center in Orlando, obviously one of the best world-class venues you can possibly find. Sure. Made my way down there, interned for a year, and then after that found my way over to the Orange County Convention Center in my first real full-time job as an event manager. Was there for about 2 years, and again worked my way up through different departments as an assistant supervisor for event setup. Really got really great experience managing a team of about 90 employees. And then about 6 months ago made the transition over to the general service contractor side, where I'm at today as the Regional Director of Account Executives for Shepard Expedition Services.
It seems like you've had a pretty a wide variety of experiences in your past. For a lot of our audience members, I'm guessing they probably don't know a lot about Shepard. So can you give us a little bit of a background of what Shepard is, and maybe a little bit about the culture of Shepard, which I know is something that drew you to them?
So Shepard Expedition Services, or what we all refer to as Shepard, is a full-service general service contractor that provides turnkey solutions for trade show industry. We get contracted by our clients to help them produce a trade show, a convention, or a special event all over the U.S. So Shepard's culture is really about family and really about going the extra mile for the family that is our company and the family that are our clients. And so at Shepard, we believe that our success is your success. And we truly believe that by empowering our employees, even from the gentleman who's laying carpet to the lady who's hanging aisle signs all the way throughout the entire company, we really love that we empower our employees to make whatever decision they need to make, both for the advantage of the company and for our clients, so that we are all successful at the end of the day.
Very cool. So I'm guessing you probably don't have a typical day.
No such thing as a typical day.
But could you describe a little bit about what sort of you spend a majority of your effort on?
Sure. So my effort's a little different than the team that I manage. So I am also considered an acting manager. So I will work day to day managing events all over the United States. I'll do a couple events a year. But my day-to-day is really involved around my employees and my team that works for me. So I have 9 account executives that work between our Atlanta and Orlando branches. And so my sole existence is to make them better at what they do and to assist them to assist our clients in creating the best events that they have. So a day could consist of sitting in the office all day, emailing responses back and forth to clients and solving problems that way. Or it could be on show site assisting our clients and working in the 85-degree Orlando summer heat, or it could be Chicago in February and it's 10 below.
Sure.
But we're on that show floor helping our clients turn around the best event they can have.
So you've had, as we've talked about, you've had a variety of experiences, a variety of different arenas, venues, convention centers that you've been a part of. From your experiences, or from your perspective, what do you think are some of the major trends that are impacting the arena and the convention industry right now?
So it's really interesting. So one of the major trends is obviously technology. Okay. So at home, as your TV screens get larger, there's the option for you to always sit at home in front of that 65-inch flat screen TV and not have to pay the $100 to get in to go see, let's say, the Miami Dolphins play.
Sure.
So I think one of the biggest trends is you will see, and you are seeing, arenas in convention centers and any venue really start utilizing technology, which has kind of hurt them in the past, find ways to help them in the industry. So for example, example, Orlando Magic, the Amway Center, now has in-seat ordering for their catering.
Yeah, sure.
So they're finding a way to connect their audience using technology to keep them engaged longer and using technology to help them instead of hurt them. So I think another major trend in the industry is no longer are events that are searching for a venue space looking for just world-class venues, but I think they're looking for world-class destinations in and of itself. So we'll use Orlando, for example, in the Orange County Convention Center. Highly touted as one of the best convention centers in the United States, if not in the world. But there are really a lot of shows that might not pick that destination because of the destination as a whole. So for example, you've got attendees that will go to a convention from 9 to 5, but after 5 o'clock when you're kind of cut loose from actually learning and doing what you're there to do professionally, the destination needs to have something to offer as a whole for their attendees. So really, if you've spent a lot of money in the destination or in the center itself, but not much on the destination, you might lose out on some of that business.
Okay. So the major two trends going on right now that you really touched on was technology and the importance of the destination.
Absolutely.
I'm going to ask you to be a futurist a little bit here, project forward 10, 15, 20 years. What do you think is that next major big trend that's going to impact the industry?
That's a very interesting question. Obviously, technology is at the forefront of everyone's mind now, and how technology will help people in the future is really kind of that unknown. One of the bits of the future that I've seen is a 24-hour trade show. Okay. So where you could, on Eastern Standard Time at the Convention Center, have a true, what we call a hot body attendee walking around and meeting and greeting with different exhibitors and learning items. At the end of the night at 8 o'clock when those lights turn off, you can turn on these little robots that will actually drive around the convention center. We'll leave the lights on, but there doesn't actually need to be a physical body inside that space to now network. So you can turn a convention that was only for the United States and on Eastern Standard Time, and you could now have people online overseas in Asia now logging on and interacting in those spaces as well.
It's interesting. So I want to talk a little bit about the consumers, right? Because when you think about an event and what you're going to provide for the event, you're really focused on that consumer. Do we see sort of micro trends within different groups of people that are impacting what the consumers are really looking for when it comes to an event? Are there certain groups that you're sort of really having to tailor events for?
So that's a very good question. What's interesting is that I think as millennials and as the younger generations are starting to get into, and again, specifically the convention industry, what they're looking for is not necessarily to walk around a trade show and be sold on a product, but they're there for the experience overall. So another trend that we see in the convention industry is you have large corporate booths that instead of now the importance of selling their item is now the importance of creating a comfort lounge for them to be in there, because their marketing money is better spent on the amount of time that you are sitting in their space and kind of being surrounded by their product. So they no longer see the importance to have to sell you on an item, but to sell you on an experience that's related to their item.
Okay. So the last topic I really want to address, again, I work a lot with our students about preparing themselves for their professional careers and what they can do now to be better prepared, especially for that first job. And so I guess we'll start with experiences. I know you're big on gaining experiences. What types of experiences would you encourage our students to find if they want to pursue a career path similar to yours?
So I think the biggest thing, and it's also very awkward, is to get just generally out of your comfort zone. So I was always an operations person, very operation logistics minded, never had any experience in the sales side in marketing. So I went and found experiences related to those items that I was not as comfortable with. So it really put me out of my comfort zone. But as I found my way back into either event management or management itself, because I had these experiences, I was a better manager and a better person to draw from these experiences. So I really encourage students to get out of their comfort zone, do things that they might not think they want to do, but could turn out either really loving or really hating. And I think if you really hate it, that's fine too. If you know that you are not a marketing person, that's fine. You never have to do marketing again, but at least you've had that opportunity to understand what that side of the industry does.
Yeah, that's great advice. And I know one of the areas that you really preach about the importance of is getting involved in associations as a student. I know you shared the story with me a few times. Can you sort of share that story about how involvement in an association as a student really sort of kickstart your early career?
Yep. So going back to my days at the O'Connell Center as a student, was really involved. A lot of the leadership at the O'Connell Center really mentioned to the students that were that really loved their jobs that they should get involved in an association.
Okay.
So the association at the time was the International Association of Venue Managers, or IAVM.
Okay.
And what was really great, and a lot of associations do this, is they get students involved and allow them to come in and volunteer at their yearly association meetings. To get you that experience and network with others, and allows you to assist putting on their conventions as well. But really getting out there and being one of 20 students that volunteered back when I was in college. I think we were in Houston the first year. It was really great. We were one of 20 students that volunteered in an organization that had 5,000 attendees that year. So for us, we stuck out like a sore thumb, and it was fantastic to get noticed, to have venue professionals from literally all over the world come up to us and say, why are you here? What is your drive as a student to be here? And that really just kind of kicked off where I am today.
So you said a very scary word in there. You said network.
Absolutely,
and that's one of those words that we talk a lot about. And everybody stresses the importance of networking. What our students really struggle with, and what young professionals really struggle with, is what does that actually mean and how to actually go about it. So I'm wondering if, again, based on your experiences, if you have any practical tips about how to actually network.
So definitely. So first of all, I mean, networking is always going to be the most awkward situation you ever put in. It's kind of like an awkward first date, and it's always going to be that way regardless of how many times you've networked or how often you network. It's still that awkward first date every time you meet someone. So once you kind of get over that fact that everyone else is just as nervous as you are, you'll kind of just get over it, and you kind of got to wing it. I think one of the cardinal sins of networking is going in there and acting like you're really hungry for a job, because that's not what networking is about. Networking is not going and asking for a job. Networking is about building just that, your network. So I think what's really advantageous to students is to have a couple questions in mind, some generic questions that you could ask anyone in any part of whatever industry you're involved in, to kind of kickstart a conversation. It's kind of like that first date question you know, how we met or anything like that. So have a question that you can answer, or that you could ask to have answered, and go off from there.
I really appreciate your time today. I think those are great tips for the students. I appreciate the insights sort of in that event and convention space. So thank you again. Appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
All right, go Gators.